Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one. She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Hi, I'm George Conway. This is the most important election of our lifetimes, and I'm sorry to say the most important issue in that election isn't being addressed, and it's not Joe Biden's age. Without a doubt, the cognitive ability and mental health of a president or presidential candidate are extremely important issues. Democrats and the media are right to ask questions about Joe Biden after the bad night he had at the recent debate. But there's a double standard being applied here, a huge one. And it's not just that Donald Trump, who's himself 78, is also showing his age. We've all seen videos of Trump slurring words.
Anonymous, really anonymous.
And then they announced there was nobody's no.
A beautiful criminal
United States.
And rambling nonsensically about sharks and electrocution.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time.
Hannibal Lecter.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
But Trump has a bigger problem, and it's not his age. It's the fact that Donald Trump has never been right in the head. I'll let others who know him explain.
He's a populist authoritarian narcissist.
He is a consummate narcissist.
Governor Chris Sununu called Trump crazy, but
adding, I don't think he's so crazy he should be in a mental institution, but if he were in one, he ain't getting out.
And he goes and he starts to say these wacky things. That's what scares everybody about him.
Our country can't be a therapy session for a troubled man like this.
John Kelly sought guidance from a book in which 27 mental health professionals warned that Donald Trump was psychologically unfit.
This man is a pathological liar, a narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen.
Donald Trump's problem is he's just nuts. And he's not simply eccentric or odd in a good way. He's unwell, mentally unwell, in a dangerous way. He is indeed a pathological narcissist on a level we have never before seen. He's a malignant narcissist who is also a sociopath or psychopath. What these terms mean is that Trump is a man who cares about nothing but himself. Not you, not the country, not the laws and constitution that a president swears to faithfully execute. And it also means that Trump is a pathological liar and that he lacks any moral conscience or capacity for remorse. These are the psychological characteristics of dangerous cult leaders and dictators. They shouldn't be the traits of an American president. Now, you haven't heard any of this discussed very much in the media, and that's because too many people are afraid of talking about mental health issues, particularly Donald Trump's. Here's an example. This is a book, a memoir, written by a fine and accomplished journalist who was for many years executive editor of the Washington Post. In it, he explains how, in 2019, he was urged to have the newspaper tackle head-on the issue of whether Trump was mentally ill. And he explained that this was the final taboo in covering presidents. In the end, he, along with a lot of others in the media, decided not to break that taboo. And the public remains uninformed. And not only that, the failure to treat Trump's behavior as pathological has led the media and the country, perversely, to treat his behavior as normal. And that's a big reason why we're seeing the double standard that's being applied to the candidates today. And that's the problem we're here to address. To understand Donald Trump, why he's unfit for office, and why he's a danger to the republic, you have to understand his psychological disorders. Trump's malignant narcissism explains everything about him. It explains his pathological lying.
It's a rigged election. It's the only way we're going to lose.
His misogyny.
Grab him by the pussy.
His racism.
You had very fine people.
News will not replace us!
On both sides.
His authoritarianism. His endless quests for vengeance. His love for dictators. It may even explain his recent praise of Hannibal Lecter. It certainly accounts for his criminality. 4 indictments on 88 counts in 4 courts, and a conviction in one of those courts on 34 counts. 34. Imagine that, a former president. All of this is why I'm pleased to announce the formation of the Anti-Psychopath Political Action Committee, or Anti-Psycho-PAC for short. I'm putting my own money behind this PAC. $343,434.34 to be exact, and we'll be raising a lot more. We're going to use those resources to educate the American public about Trump's psychological unfitness for office. With the help of mental health professionals, we're going to explain how his condition poses a grave danger to our country. And we're going to encourage the media to start talking about what it should have been talking about years ago. We're also going to highlight examples of Trump's psychologically aberrant behavior as they happen, which might very well get under his skin enough to help illustrate the very points we're making. So although this is a very serious subject, we may actually have a little fun along the way. We hope you join us. Join us in learning about the dangers of Donald Trump's derangement. Join us in spreading the word. Join us by contributing, to pick a number, $34, or less if you like, or more if you can. Join us and spread the word. This country is too wonderful and important to be turned back over to a madman. Learn more at psychopac.org.
Here are a couple of videos from this video link above. Midas Touch Network with Ben Meiselas and Anthony Davis on the day that Biden withdrew from the race. I encourage you to, go to this link above, take off the ampersand T equals 1130 and watch the entire video. It is about an hour long, however. And the real meat is in these 2 videos.
Play the clip. And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, "Sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal."
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Terry Knight Barrett.
Someone who mixes fiction and reality?
The late great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable, Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words.
The failing New York Times by anonymous, really anonymous.
Struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas, detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark? Or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
Test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Dr. Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. How good did Elise Stepanek do? You know, we've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. Jimmy Connors is good. These are all still happening. Mike Bolton, John Bolton is here. Mike Bolton, as you know, is in Russia.
And there was progress today. I look forward to solving it. Thank you, Steve.
It was Trump's fault. It's always Trump's fault. Can it ever be like Rick Gates' fault? I mean, it's always Trump's fault, Rick. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people. We have some of our great business leaders and leaders, period, right behind me. I may ask Marilyn Lockheed.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
Yes, please, Mr. Kurd.
Thank you very much for your time.
You know what was interesting? Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Arrest their leading political opponent, and leading by a lot, including Obama. I'll tell you what, you take a look at Obama and take a look at some of the things that he's done.
And Putin, you know, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word theory. You heard that, nuclear.
Thanks for giving your first comments on the bill on this show. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it, sir. Thanks a lot.
You have a deal. Thanks a lot. Bye. Joe Bright, this guy is just the worst. So will Christian ever run for president against you? And you heard the prime minister, you heard, you know, maybe have Matt Blum speak next, because he's been so incredible in so many ways. He fights so hard. He loves his state. He loves the people. Think of it, a new branch of the United States military, United States Armed Forces, called Air Force. I never talked about that. That's something we never talked about. But what we just saw, we just left pleasure. Yeah, a very big hello to a place where we've done very well. Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. Thank you. So, Sioux City, let me ask you, and the worst president in the history of our country who is cognitively impaired, we would be in World War II. Very quickly, the worst president in the history of our country will be a fading nightmare. He'll be I have fading memory.
Now, here's Dr. John Gardner's show. That's him all the way on the left. And his sidekick is on the right there. This was the show also mentioned in the previous clip from Midas Touch Network. He's got, I think, at this count, this date, maybe 6 or 7 videos, all with certain clips showing Trump's signs of frontal temporal dementia and what they call malignant narcissism. The guest on this show, in this clip that he's about to run, calls it psychopathy, psychopath. So they're one and the same, but you know, you listen to it. That's the link up there above.
Lie. So I think that's.
I don't think that can be emphasized enough. I would put it even stronger than your previous guest. You two guys know, and I know, that this is a pathology. The enormity of the lies, the frequency, and the casualness is not just something to be criticized, is not just something to pass judgment on. It is a hardwired pathology. He cannot do otherwise. And it is alarming in someone running for the presidency of the United States. He was probably coached up to try to curb that a little bit on Thursday, and he is incapable of it. It's what you all refer to as malignant narcissist. I use the term clinical psychopath because that's the measure I use to evaluate him. But it is a hardwired, it looks to appear to be related to a brain abnormality, the incapacity to experience any guilt, any shame, any empathy, and that is a very dangerous thing. And Harry, you mentioned, like, you know, they try to protect Trump, they try to put him in situations where he won't fail. You cannot hide this. And it was on display. It's not the thing that people focused on, obviously. They focused on Biden's poor performance. But in terms of perhaps the most consequential pattern of behavior in that debate, the enormity and the casualness and what that implies if he returns to the Oval Office.
But Vince, I just want to say that
So I encourage you to go watch the show. The link was above on the previous page. And, you know, there is absolutely no doubt, you know, this is a big hole in our system of government. We don't require even a background check. There's nothing required to run for the presidency other than your age and your natural born citizenship. The reality is what should be required is a law degree and a license to practice law, which will guarantee a little bit more of a sanity that you've learned at least the American legal system. Trump, however, is the exact opposite. He's been breaking laws all his life. Nobody seems to remember ever seeing him on the campus of Wharton because he didn't attend most of his classes. He bought his way through, or his way was paid through Wharton. And one of his instructors famously said he was the dumbest GD student, you figure out what that is, he had ever taught. His own sister, and you know, I say this all the time, his own sister, who was a federal judge, Mary Ann Berry, said, asking Michael Cohen, stop him from this presidential run. He's fucking stupid. And he's going to embarrass the family. And I believe that clip will probably show later on in this video. But let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is a clip from David Feldman, July 9th, 2024. It's about a 2-hour, 20-minute show. This is after the debate, and while all the thing is still going on about Joe should step down, this is the title, 4 More Years. But this is probably one of the best parts of the show to me. Here's the link at the top if you want to go see the whole thing.
This has been a kleptocracy before Trump was even born. Back when Trump was wearing diapers the first time. But, man, does he smell. My friends keep telling me, people who are in New York, they say it's unbelievable. It's really take a skunk, a dead skunk, dip them in cat urine, then throw up on it, and then spray some Old Spice over that, and that's what Donald Trump smells like. I'm not making that up. So,
you know, this is the big story, really. Now, anyone who is not aware of their own personal hygiene to that extent tells you something is wrong with their brain. Why are they living in society, today's society, and they can't figure out how to even get with societal norms about personal hygiene? Now, the story is very old and very well known, even back in high school or the military academy that he was sent to. His roommate actually said, yeah, even at that time, he had incontinence problems. He would crap himself in the bed at night, a fart would come out as feces. And he didn't wash often. And so now, today, he does wear diapers and he craps himself freely. That's why he has a body man. Walt Nada was his body man, because that's who cleaned him up and got a new diaper for him. And this would be the representative for the United States of America to send around the world? You gotta be kidding me. You know, but the real issue is the man has no education. He went through Wharton, but nobody remembers seeing him on campus. Literally, he bought his way through the school, and one professor said he was the dumbest GD student he had ever taught. Donald Trump wants to tear everything up and tear it down because he doesn't understand it. He can't understand it. He wants to make it into something his mind can understand. He wants something so simple, you know, a 10-year-old can understand it. And even his aunt, you know, Mary Trump, says that his brain is still at the level of 10-year-old Donald. So the fact that he's an apprentice demagogue shows you that we have another Ronald Reagan issue, because both of them were equally stupid. Ronald Reagan thought he had this way of how to, you know, the best thing, this trickle-down economics. And Ronald Reagan is the one who ruined everything. The guy started this crap that turned into the abortion movement. He's the one that kept on with this small government, fiscal conservative crap. He's the one that tried to break up the air traffic controllers union. He's the one that tried to break up welfare completely. You know, for people who had a child and no other way to take care of it or work. You kind of can't do both. Now, granted, the obvious solution is keep your legs closed, don't have a child. But you know, anyone who's had sex knows that it's the opioid of the people. So I will try and find the other clip from the guy who was actually on The Apprentice, who knows what Donald Trump actually looks like. You look at this picture that was previous to this clip. His hair is white. You can see where the dye is not down to the roots all the way. And you can see the bumps over his eyebrows, even though his white eyebrow lashes, his bushes sort of cover it. And I just, you know, you stutter. You just don't know what to say. Why is it people flock to this moron? Because, you know, in terms of eugenics, that's what he is. A person with the mental capacity of a 10 to 12-year-old. He can't learn. He can't memorize anything. He can barely read. And that's the truth. So, what does that look like to you? Of course, the one on the left is Mr. Trump wearing white pants on the golf course. Here's the link to the page above that has it. What does that look like to you? Here's what it really is. It's Mr. Trump and his drug and diaper problems with Neil Kassler, someone who was with him on The Apprentice. This is the history of Donald Trump.
He shits his pants, right?
All the time. The nickname for The Apprentice, if you're a boom operator on that show, is the shit show. Because he'd shit himself publicly. Remember how I told you about the words like arbitrage?
Yeah.
So if he saw a word he didn't like and he couldn't pronounce, which is basically any 3-syllable word, he would freak out. And he'd fly into a rage, and then it would let loose. He doesn't. And you would hear it. He's profoundly incontinent, bro. I'm talking like a minute-long evacuation of his bowels.
Like a cartoon character.
Yeah, no, in full audio. Like, imagine the guy's got a lavalier. There's some dude like this being like, I just heard that guy shit himself for 5 minutes.
So what?
And the reason for that is I used to do a lot of cocaine. Cocaine has laxative. Stimulants have laxative, So it's a combination of like 30 years of stimulant abuse and eating nothing but McDonald's, because all he eats is cheeseburgers and then meatloaf at night. So he's got 40 pounds of undigested meat in his colon, and he's basically feeding diuretics all day long. That's what stimulants are. They create water in your guts, in your intestine.
Even a coffee, you need to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. So imagine snorting your coffee and like 6 months worth of Big Macs down there, and then you fly into a rage. So you just lose control.
So the first time, like, he shits his... Laura, did you have a question?
Yeah, but let's finish up the shitting in his pants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me...
So
I remember it like it was yesterday. You don't forget your first kiss and the first time you see Donald Trump shit his pants. And it was on...
So, you can go to the page and watch the entire show if you'd like. This is actually point number 1. Not only is he illiterate, he cannot pronounce certain words, but the question is it that he cannot pronounce them or that he has dementia? Now, Dr. Gardner and another doctor have created a show called Shrinking Trump. You can find it, and we'll show at least one clip of one episode here. That when Donald Trump can't pronounce a word, it's not that he can't pronounce it, it's that his dementia is in the way. Now, Mr. Trump just recently selected J.D. Vance as his running mate for VP. Recently on Morning Joe, there was an interview with an author of the book, The Apprentice in Wonderland. He said that when he came back less than 6 months later to do an interview with Mr. Trump, he didn't even know who he was. He didn't remember him at all. And, people don't just make this stuff up. If they say it and they're personally there, it's true. So it is very possible Mr. Trump doesn't remember or know all those things that J.D. Vance has said about him. He knows one thing. He needs a VP who's a lawyer, who has credibility, and looks good on TV. That's his big deal, because he thinks he's running the show, The Apprentice, and is as crazy as he is. So J.D. Vance fits all of that, but he doesn't realize all the things that J.D. Vance has said about him. Everybody in Trump's past has said so many things about him, Why is it you can't find anyone that says anything good about Mr. Trump? And all these people that's, call him President Trump and the former president, I just lose respect for them. And it was hard to understand until I saw this video of a focus group of sorts of people making up excuses for why they either are for or against Trump. And none of them get to the root of the cause. There's a black guy on there who obviously likes to think of himself as some kind of intellectual. There's what appears to be a drag queen on there calling herself Lady MAGA, or himself. He doesn't seem to understand that he'll be the first on the firing squad in the Trump administration. There's a mocha-colored female on there in a red dress. Looks Mexican, Hispanic, Hawaiian. I don't know what she is. She too would not be welcome in a Trump administration. Then there's a Oriental on there who is part of the pro-Trump gang. The woman in the red dress is anti-Trump. I'll play a short clip of it later behind this. And there's a white guy on there who is a thinker. He says, he's trying to prove to these people why he's an anti-Trump Republican. These are all Republicans. There's 4 of them are anti-Trump and 4 of them are pro-Trump. And he's pointing out that, every lawsuit that Trump filed was rejected. 60 lawsuits. Of course, the other side is arguing, the election was rigged. The black guy is trying to say, it's rigged, but the point was, it wasn't enough of a difference to make a difference. Well, that's the point of law. If and when, only if and when, you win by 10,000 votes, and there's 20,000 votes that are fraud, well, then you got a case. But if you win by 10,000 votes, and there's 500 that are fraud, you don't have a case. It doesn't make a difference to the election. They can't get past that. Then there's the question of racism. And these people don't understand that Mr. Trump has long back in his history in New York City actually was sued by the Justice Department, the government, I don't know if it was Justice Department, the government, for housing discrimination, for refusing to rent to people of color and blacks. And there's several other things, like he took out a full-page ad to want to kill the Central Park Five, who allegedly had some kind of legal rape or something, or killing of a white girl in Central Park, and it turned out they were all innocent, but he still insisted that they should be put to death. Took out a full-page ad in the New York Times to keep arguing for it. And then there's all the things he says about poisoning the blood of the country, blah, blah, blah. When his own sister, federal judge, Marianne Barry, deceased now, begged Michael Cohen, stop him from running for this president thing. He's fucking stupid. He will embarrass the family. That clip will be in here also later. So we have a couple of problems. He has dementia. He's unfit because he's barely educated, certainly not a lawyer. doesn't not only not have a law degree, I doubt that he would be able to pass the bar. He doesn't understand law. He doesn't want to understand law. Doesn't want to follow the law. And then there's the immunity thing. He doesn't know how to be gracious. To him, immunity is, I can do anything I want. So, let's move on. Now, here is that all-Republican, pro-Trump, anti-Trump focus group video. It's pretty sickening to watch because all of them are clueless. And I'm only gonna play, just a little bit of it. There's the link at the top. You're welcome to go there and watch this crap show yourself. The one on the left, Blondie there, Trump can do no wrong. The one on the right, she's trying to argue democratic values and still call herself Republican. None of these people understand what the word conservative is and really always has meant. Conservative, even if it refers to fiscal conservativeness, is still a taking of funds out of the government so that the less fortunate have no safety net. Conservatism in no way supports justice, domestic tranquility, nor to form a more perfect union, as the Constitution states. At the worst, conservatism means straight up racism. Look like me, act like me, be like me, always in my community. And by extension, tribalism, to hell with everyone else. You can't call yourself a conservative and not understand what you're calling yourself. So, the problem is, what is so wrong with socialism? Socialism is simply just taking care of your fellow man. That doesn't mean just give them a handout. Now, some people are just genuinely stupid. They can't make it. It doesn't mean that they really have a right to make it, but it doesn't mean that the answer is, let's just withdraw all support and call it religion. This guy doesn't understand that the Constitution was founded on the basis that the government shall not be involved in religion. The government shall not make an official religion. And so, don't use it as a political argument. It has no place there. Now, the problem is, the word God drops out of everybody's mouth so fast. Oh, God bless our troops. In God we trust. And then when these God delusional people come along and they want to push everything based on religion, oh, an unborn fetus is a life. Well, no, it's not a life. It's a parasite. Until it's born, the umbilical cord is cut and it's breathing its own air. Then it's a life. Then it's a citizen. But until that time, it's a parasite inside of the body of another. The only reason we know and associated with it being a life, because technology lets us look in there and see, oh, there's a baby in there. So, you're welcome to go look at this video, hour and 30 minutes of basically bickering and arguing. It's rather disgusting, but it is the obliviousness of Republicans. They don't even know who they are. They don't understand what's going on. The Republican philosophy goes all the way back to the Kansas-Missouri slave dispute over the right to own others as property. Okay, here's the interview with John Avlon, who was the CNN reality check host for a long time, now running for Congress. He's married to Margaret Hoover, the real Hoover, Herbert Hoover's niece or something like that. And I'm going to try and go straight to the part where Cohen tells the story that Marianne Barry, federal judge, told him Trump was fucking stupid and he's going to embarrass the family.
Yeah, so the answer is I didn't know. I've actually never been upstairs to the bedroom in the triplex. I've only been on the first floor, which is the main floor of the triplex. I had heard from others that he had a fascination towards Adolf Hitler. In fact, it was his sister, Judge Barrett, who had said it to me, that he had a fascination. She had said, well, when she found out, for example, that Donald was running for the presidency, she said to me, Michael, you need to make this stop. And I said, Judge, you're about the only one that he's really afraid of. Like, definitely afraid of. All right? You would have to be the one. Ivanka, Don, and Eric came to my office and asked me to help to stop this 2015, his announcement after he made those Mexico statements and so on. And he wasn't stopping for anything, which I explained to them. But she said, he's a deeply flawed individual. He ascribes to like the ideology of Hitler. He goes, but then she said to me, but worse than that, he's fucking stupid. And that's the judge who said that to me. Just like that. He's fucking stupid. And he's going to embarrass the entire family. No, that's what she said. I'm not joking. I'm not even trying to be comical. She dropped the F-bomb straight off the rip and so on. And it's true. We're seeing it. In fact, one time, and I wrote this in my book, Disloyal, that I was sitting with Trump and the general manager of Mar-a-Lago, who happens to be of German descent, and we were talking about an issue that had just taken place. I think it was Celine Dion had to cancel the New Year's, and they paid her over $1 million to appear and so on because she was having an issue with her throat. This is early on. And during our conversation about something which was obviously important, he stops the conversation and says to the general manager, he goes, I was just thinking, I bet your family chased Michael's family through the Red Forest. And I was like, boss, my father's a Holocaust survivor. He goes, yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. I bet you that your family chased his family through the Red Forest. And I didn't know what to say. The general manager wanted to climb up his own ass and die because he's a decent, good man. He really is. He's like central casting for what you would want at a place like Mar-a-Lago, right? I mean, a really good man, and he didn't know what to say either. But thinking about that in retrospect, the fact that Donald even knows about the Red Forest and was able to equate that, to me, certainly validated what his sister had said years later, that he had a fascination with Adolf Hitler. Yeah.
And there you have it. I don't know if it's true or not, but it makes for a nice story. The real story is the eugenics. How can people be so stupid, so gullible, to think We need the reality TV star as the president. They don't have a clue what it takes to run the country. They're not even thinking about that. And that's like people constantly attributing gas prices, food prices to the president. Only in a small degree. What causes inflation and food prices? Cost of diesel fuel. You need diesel fuel, you need trucks to truck all the food and goods and services to wherever it's going. The supermarkets, the Walmarts, you know, and the cost of diesel is a price that has to slide down the chain onto the grocery or package shelves. People don't know how to think like that. Biden doesn't know how to explain what's going on. He's a bad communicator. And here we are. So this video was recorded on July 22nd, 2024, right after Biden announced his withdrawal from his candidacy for the presidency, second term. And George Conway, as the video shows, has launched a PAC in which he is going to be basically putting up billboards along the road, and it looks like stocking his website with testimonials from medical and psychological professionals showing that Trump is unfit. It's a spend of money. There is no telling what you'll get out of it, but for a Republican, you have to hand it to Conway. He's put over $1 million of his own money in it to try and stop Trump. He's one of the few people who's absolutely blunt that Trump is crazy. But this is the way to actually stop the MAGA movement completely. This is sadpac.com. You can see it up the top. It has a plan on how to save American democracy. Simply electing Kamala Harris is not going to end the problem. The problem was Biden and Garland never prosecuted the insurrection. The insurrection being the insurrectionists and the people inside government who just kept going. The Heritage Foundation has put together a seditious conspiracy document. That's illegal. No one speaks in those terms, and certainly no one has taken them to court. The Justice Department has now filed a first document against the Heritage Foundation regarding the demand for production of the audio tapes of the interview of Biden. But that doesn't go anywhere. That isn't really doing anything. Heritage Foundation is the new administration. As this video has pointed out, Trump hasn't got the brains to know what's going on, except that he just wants to be a dictator. The reasons why are in the video. So you can go here and read the plan. National popular vote's going to end this all. If you take out people by quo warranto, that includes up to the Supreme Court, that cleans them out. Keeps them from taking office again. And then age limits of 65 would stop all these old guys from hanging on forever. This has lots of links to videos, even the link to George's psychopac.org. You're welcome to go there and donate. I mean, anything you want to do, it makes sense. This PAC, however, is not really active yet. It would take quite a bit of money to bring litigation. And so this is more of an information source right now than anything else. Glenn Kirshner even said that Biden should use a Supreme Court ruling now to save democracy. Biden's too dense to do that. He's old. He's got a pickled brain. There's nothing wrong with his thinking. It's just that he's old. He thinks in terms of days gone by, way gone by. He doesn't understand how to fight a war. He's never been a military person. He was not in the military. He doesn't understand the racial and sexual issues in America. He doesn't understand that this LGBTQ stuff is just poking the bear over and over and over again. I don't care about LGBTQ people. It's just that they shouldn't flaunt it. They should just take their rights and shut up. Stop poking society. Most of society doesn't want to see that. They don't want to see it on TV. They don't want to see it in their TV series shows. And that's what the Democrats don't get. They're not understanding that. So Biden's got this ruling from the Supreme Court, which he could use to fix the whole thing. Not smart enough. I have it on good authority that a letter was sent both to Biden and Harris to use the thing now. You know, we'll see what happens. Harris is probably smart enough, but at the same time, this election is going to be about race. There's going to be people who just insist on seeing her as a black woman. You know, Kamala Harris is a very good-looking woman, but black, she's not. She looks like a white girl with a good tan. And if that's what people are so hung up on, is that she's African American, she has African American blood in her, because she's Eastern Indian. She's from India, and her father was from Jamaica. Okay, so what? Who cares? The people who are racist care. The Neanderthals of America, the ones who look like me, act like me, be like me, they call conservatism, is really racism. It's to exclude certain members of the population from government benefits, or benefits at all. And so this website has lots of information that if a movement ever starts, we'll be ready to launch litigation. That's pretty much a slam dunk. Somebody just has to bring it. Justice Department's not going to do that right now. Merrick Garland is a limp. And he too is not a person who understands the war in America, because the white Christian national movement not only thinks that the United States should be a Christian nation, they think the Constitution should enshrine Christianity in it. It's all inside out and backwards. So we're going to end there, and you give it a thought.
Donald Trump has never, ever been right in the head.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
An enormous, really an enormous.
We got up! And then they announced there was no buys, no.
We've endorsed JP, right? J.D. Mandel.
Take a look at the oranges of the investigation.
Venezuela,
if you have a windmill anywhere near your house, they say the noise causes cancer.
I know more about wind than you do.
I don't know what I said. Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. They have voter ID. They have ID on everything. You buy a loaf of bread, you have ID. The first non-incumbent.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to one.
Injection inside or almost a cleaning.
That an illegal one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Learn more at psychopac.org.